Let's get busy tonight, people. It is a Thursday night football game. The Vikings versus the Chargers. I'm Donnie Rightside. The middle guy in there is Tom Vecchio. The guy on your right with the hat. Come on now, you know who it is. It's Mike Carver. It's time to get down to business and have some fun with the football game tonight. Just to get things started, -3s and -3.5 across the board. A total 45.5, 44.5, depending on where you're shopping at right now. That's what we'll start tonight, Tom. Let's start with the side. Minnesota and Los Angeles. What do we got?
Liking the Chargers and the over, especially now that we got confirmation that Joe Alt is going to play for the Chargers. Should improve things overall for their offense, both running and passing. I'm hoping more from a passing perspective, but short week, I'll take a home team. It's sometimes it's that simple. I would say the Chargers are certainly trending up. Wentz was a little bit banged up in their most recent game. He's getting up there in age. It's just never a concerning thing. There's also some underlying metrics to suggest that the Vikings defense is getting a lot worse.
Carver, what do you think tonight? Total, side, Vikings, Chargers?
Obviously, Donnie, at this point, if you liked the Chargers, you probably missed the boat, right? With this thing getting up to 3.5 now, you're not there anymore. I don't know what to believe here. The Chargers haven't looked good, boys, the last 4 weeks, right? I mean, the only win that they've got during that time is like a narrow win against the Dolphins, who suck. They haven't beaten anybody else. So I'm kind of off on the Chargers. Can't really trust Wentz.
Yeah.
I liked the under when I woke up this morning, and then I was looking back at what I've done the past few weeks, and I liked the under last week. It flew over with Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. I liked the under the week before that. With the Giants and the Eagles, it flew over. I think the week before that, Rams and 49ers got over because of the overtime. So much as I've liked these unders, Donnie, on Thursday nights, we've been getting points. So kind of feeling that maybe we'll get over that 43.5, 44 in that area tonight.
Yeah, Thursdays are always tricky, too. And again, I do like the fact that we're playing in late October, but we're in a dome, so it should be a fast track. And, correct me if I'm wrong, Minnesota's hometown, or home team in a dome, typically. They're on the road. Chargers, obviously, in a dome. That should help. But also, sometimes I just look at weapons and what I see. Like, we know Herbert can sling it. He's got 3 really good wide receivers, now an emerging tight end. Also, you take a look at the Minnesota Vikings. Justin Jefferson, probably the best wide receiver overall in the game, along with, let's just say, Jamar Chase. And then you have Addison really coming on the other side. And Wentz is like, hey, this is my first start. He's had a couple first starts under his belt. The offensive line's getting a little bit healthier. Now, understand O'Neal's not going to play tonight for the Vikings, which does hurt. But still, you're going to get Darius on the opposite side. Alt is back on the offensive line for the Chargers, so they should be good to go. 2 quarterbacks that can push the football downfield with a lot of weapons. I just don't see it under, Tom. I just don't.
I really don't either. And as long as we're dealing with competent teams overall. It's not like we're dealing with a really bad team that they're just trying to piece together the rest of their season. They're trying to piece together an offense. Like, we have teams that are essentially fully healthy, if not getting healthier. As I think Aaron Jones is back for the Vikings. So they have weapons there. We may not trust, and Mike, as you said, like the stability and the consistency of Wentz. But at the end of the day, the Chargers defense has not looked good, and we just need them to be competent. We don't need them to be the most efficient team. We don't need them to be top of the league when it comes to yards per play or points per drive or any of these things. Like, just be competent and get to 2 touchdowns and some field goals, and we're going to be at that number.
Yeah, it's a good point too, Carver. And you take a look at, because I think it's hard for me to take a side because Tom hit the nail on the head. It's Carson Wentz. That means yardage and that means turnovers. And usually that's not a really good sign at this point. So I do think Wentz can move the football. They did against the Eagles. They had 6 scoring drives against the Eagles. The shame that it was 5 were field goals because they couldn't convert in the red zone. I can't trust Wentz enough to take a side. I don't love the Chargers the way they've been playing football. Usually Thursday nights, I lean towards the home team, but I still do think we get yards. But I can't trust Wentz. That is a pretty good commonality.
He didn't play that bad, Donnie, against the Eagles. Like, you know that. You were locked in on Eagles-Vikings last Sunday. Yeah. Like, he wasn't awful. You know what he did a lot of, which maybe we could talk about when we get to either the passing or the rushing part? He was moving pretty good, picking up first downs with his legs. Yeah. He was scrambling quite a bit, and I know little different front that you're going to face tonight as opposed to what the Eagles are bringing after you on Sunday afternoon. But Wentz a little light here, 13.5 for the rushing yards. He was moving pretty good in the pocket.
Yeah, and we always like to say too, because that the theory of yes, you like rushing quarterbacks, but it sounds almost counterproductive. Like I love a good rushing quarterback when the defensive line can put pressure on a bad offensive line because you're
Yeah.
forced to run more than you like, Tom. What do you think about that theory tonight? And we'll get to some of those props here in just a few moments. But the quarterback trust between Wentz and Herbert, let's look at a couple of those props here as where they sit right now, because the numbers aren't astronomical. You take a look at Wentz, 230.5. Herbert 255.5, which seems like it's commonplace for him. And then the touchdown passes, a little bit different on the juice here. Herbert was much higher this morning. He's down to a minus 154 to throw two. Wentz still plus money, same as this morning at a plus 102, just looking here at FanDuel. Any thoughts here, Tom, to the over-unders in passing yards and to touchdown passes?
I mean, Wentz, granted, one of these games was, overseas, or I should say two of these games were overseas. 350, 236, and 313. 313 was last week versus Philly. At the end of the day, he's moving it. And like you said, whether the interceptions come with that or not is, to be seen, but he's still going to sling the ball. And Jordan Mason's okay. They're getting Aaron Jones back, but it's not like they're going to give him 25 carries. So I don't mind Wentz over 230. I think he should get there. It may not be pretty. There may be an interception or two go along with it, but I think he gets over 230.
How about you, Mike? What are we thinking?
Yeah, look, he's been getting there, right? I was really honing in on Jefferson, who I'll talk about in a little bit. But he's been getting them to targets. He's been getting them to yards. Like I don't think it's out of the question if we think that this game is going to get into the high 40s, maybe higher, that there is going to be some room for him to go on the offensive side. Now, 230 right now, right? What have they got him at, right?
230.5.
Man, it's a good number. It's right. It's probably right there. I'd rather go after the other pieces on the Vikings than go with Wentz. I don't think the only thing I'd probably play with Wentz is a pick.
Yeah.
It's juiced. It's 136, I think, or 140, somewhere around there. But that's probably where I'd go if I want to go.
Mike, what would you be more surprised by? That he falls under, or he's like comfortably over like 270s?
It feels like there's no middle ground.
Right. It's like if he goes over, it's not going to be like, oh, he got to 236 yards and like you squeaked by.
Because you like Tom, like 270 plus probably is going to get there if they're trailing in this game, right? Like if they're trailing in the second half, if this is a 24-14, 21-7, like and they're throwing the football, he should be able to get to that number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're throwing it on both sides tonight, but it's so funny when you talk about like Wentz, like it's either 275 or it's like 188, because the Carson Wentz experience sometimes is tough. Like, things are moving well, and it's like, the hell did I bet on this guy for? Like, I knew this was going to happen, which you saw some spots last week where, bad throws into the flat, bad interceptions over the middle. But the one thing you do like about totals with Wentz, you're getting both of it. You're probably going to get 250 plus passing yards and also 2 interceptions. You just hope those interceptions aren't in the end zone when you're trying to score. They're on your own 20-yard line going in the opposite direction. Sometimes those can be key. Now, the rushing props tonight is really interesting, because you don't have the bell cow anymore. It's like, hey, you just load up Jordan Mason. There's nobody really backing him up. Aaron Jones back into the equation. And I don't know how much time Aaron Jones is going to get coming off the IL at this point. But Vidal doesn't spark me as somebody who's like, hey, you know what? I really want to get involved with this guy. Tom, I'll start with you first. How do we get involved in the rushing game, or we just stay away at this point?
I like Kamani Vidal under 15.5 rush attempts. That's why, having Joel back is absolutely a good thing for their offense. But at the end of the day, the best player that they have in offense is Justin Herbert, and distributing the ball to the 3 wide receivers plus Gadsden, the tight end, I think is their route. Does not say that I don't think Kimani Vidal goes for 12 or 13 carries and 40, 50-ish yards. I'm just not comfortable based on that. He needs to have a 17 for me to be comfortable with this. I don't want to skate by and just get over 16 with the hook. Like 17 carries is way too many for Kamani Vidal. Last week, he was terrible. The week before that, he was awesome against Miami. That game doesn't count. Miami's defense is atrocious. Take that with a grain of salt. So him being bad last week against the Colts, I think is more indicative of what we're going to see. Now, there's a boost to say that Joel being back is important, but I'm just not comfortable with 17 carries from Kamani Vidal.
Yeah, what are we thinking, Mike, tonight? Running game, to me, I look at it and say to myself, it does get intriguing with the quarterbacks, but not really intriguing from the running backs for me tonight.
Yeah, it's really just the quarterbacks for me. I like both guys with the number, 13.5 for Wentz, 18.5 for Herbert. I think that's where my rushing props would be if I'm going to go there. Like, guys, I was just thinking of this. Like, Aaron Jones, he's like one of those all-time guys for me that when I fade this guy or I keep him off my card or I don't want anything to do with him, he goes completely off. And when I go big on him and I'm like, Jones touchdown, the guy, he has 15 yards or he hurts himself in the game or he is just one of those guys that always seems to screw me no matter what kind of side I try to get on him. He's 27.5. He could have 5. He could have 85. You'd have no idea with Jones at any given time.
How about this question here? Is that Matty M from what we know here? Have to love everything about Hockenson tonight. Taylor Warren absolutely torched the Bolts 4 days ago. How about that? What are we thinking from Matty?
I think it's his role is fine. It's just a matter of how much usage is he going to get, because realistically, you can make the argument that he's 5th on the pecking order, where they're going to have the 2 running backs. They're going to give Aaron Jones the ball tonight. How much to be determined? And then it's Jefferson, it's Addison, and then it's Hockenson. So just from a usage standpoint, he may not be there. I would absolutely play his yards. I would not play his receptions.
And Jay Luis, Jordan Mason over 51.5 rushing. I don't like the running back sent on this point now. 50.5 is not a lot. If you're saying he's going to get 13 carries tonight, maybe he gets it. I'm just not in love now that you have, obviously, another running back that's playing. If you would have told me before Aaron Jones wasn't playing and his number's 51.5, I'd probably go because he's really the only game in town per se. But the wide receiver position tonight, sometimes it's a net negative where there's so many good options, you just don't know who to pick. Jefferson, McConkey, Addison, Allen, Johnston, Hockenson, Gadsden. It's a really good group tonight, Tom. I'll start with you first. Is there anybody that really is the apple of your eye tonight? You know what? It's a lot of good wideouts, but I like these guys the best.
Not really. And I've said this before where, you can reasonably play McConkey, Allen, and Johnston, and you just want 2 to cash. I don't know who it's going to be. Yeah. I don't like one dramatically more than the other. I don't hate one more, dramatically more than the other. If I just play 3 of them, I just want 2 to get to the window. Or if you want to mix in Gadsden and go, give me 2 receivers, give me Quentin Johnson, McConkey. It's a short week. Keenan Allen's a veteran. Maybe you just want to stay away from that. McConkey, Johnson, Gadsden, give me 3 of those. They actually need 2 to get to the window. And that's it. I don't care who it is. I don't care how it happens. Early, late, doesn't matter. Game script, you should be somewhat proof of that at a certain point. I just don't know who it is. I don't like the yardage. I do have a specific bet, which we can get to for longest reception, but I don't love the yards for anyone more than another.
Yeah, Mike, we saw last week, right? The Eagles, they got big-time flyers at wide receiver. They were torching deep. And the one thing sometimes you can appreciate is, Brian Flores is bringing the house. 5 out of every 7 plays on a blitz. Somebody is going to be open and somebody's going to cash in. Wide receivers from a receiving yards perspective for you today.
Yeah, if we're looking at it from that aspect, Donnie, it's Johnston, right? Because he's the guy that catches the big plays for them. Right. I think his longest catch is 21.5, I think, for Johnston right now for longest catch.
That's
so I don't know. I don't think I would like him for his total yards. I don't think I'd like him for catches, but I think Quentin Johnston's always there's 2 plays for me for him. It's longest catch or it's a touchdown. That's really the Quentin Johnston market at this point. I like this Gadsden, guys.
Me too.
I really like what he's got involved. He's caught 6 balls in each of the last 2 games. Last week was obvious. You're not going to get 130 yards every week out of him, but I think for the receptions, him getting 6 the last couple weeks, that's juicy. I think his number's in the low 40s right now, which for me is, it's home run ball for Gadsden. I think that's where I'm liking.
Yeah, I went Gadsden this morning on the early line, 42.5, and you're right. I think he has 17 total targets in the last 2 games. He's really coming of age right now, Tom.
Yeah, I believe Will Dissly, I don't want to see if he was hurt last week, but I would have to double check that. But I'm pretty sure he's either hurt or he's been pushed out of the offense because Gadsden is emerging. And then, Quentin Johnson over 20.5 longest reception is one of my favorites. So Kamani Vidal under 15.5 attempts and Quentin Johnson over 21.5 for longest reception are my 2 favorite props for this game.
Let's get some TD props on it. Everybody plus money on the board. Kamani Vidal actually leads with a plus 115 price. Justin Jefferson plus 155, man. And he's I thought JJ was going to score last week. And if it wasn't for a great play by Cooper DeJean where a perfect pass, he just got that hand involved and ripped that ball out, he should have had a touchdown. Quentin Johnson plus 175. Keenan Allen plus 175. There are some good numbers in a game where I think we're scoring in the air tonight, Tom. I'll go with you first. What do we got? Touchdown prop.
Mike's got something to say.
Let me just finish the receiving with this, Donnie. Hockenson, I know what Tom said. 6 receptions each of the last 2 games. 6 receptions tonight plus 270 for Hockenson. So the yard, and I get it, and I'm playing Hockenson. This will segue into the tutties. I'm playing Hockenson for the the jackpot tonight. I'm
Okay.
using Hawkinson for the jackpot.
Hockey and
Go ahead.
Gadsden going over the middle, doing some damage tonight. The question is, can they get some damage? Because there are some bigger numbers down the list. Where's Gadsden's numbers? Plus 175, McConkey. So look at this. Johnston 175, Keenan Allen 175, Gadsden 175, and Lad McConkey plus Tom. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
I mean, this is a situation where like the books just don't know.
Yeah.
Like they just don't know. So they're putting them all at the same spot. Again, it's like this is just pure risk aversion. I saw Gadsden earlier in the day at plus 190, a little bit of movement down. I'm using the TD jackpot on Justin Jefferson. And this is what I told you guys pre-show about this like take I have. I think like the touchdown jackpot, promo came out and everyone like, okay, they're not going to bet the chalk. And everyone's like trying too hard to like find a backup tight end. And the pendulum has swung back where they're like, oh, I'm going to bet on I'm not going to bet on Jefferson. I'm not going to bet on Mason Vidal. They're like, oh, I'm going to bet on Gadsden. I'm going to bet on, Aaron Jones is coming back. I'm going to bet on this. I'm betting that. It's like, if you actually just take the best play, he actually may come through. Now, granted, I'm not saying Justin Jefferson is going to give you $150 bonus bet. I may end up with like a $12 bonus bet, but I think the pendulum has swung too far that people are trying to outsmart the system too much that the chalk became not the chalk and it's actually just the best play. So just go with that.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I agree. I think you're right, Tom. I think that as these promos start the year and you see people get really big hits.
Yeah.
And we had a bunch. You had a bunch. Joe had a couple.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams. You see these monster $200, $300, $400 bonus bets, and you're like, all right, I'm now going to be the next guy that outsmarts everyone. I'm going to go pick the guy who's 12-1 or the 9-1, and I'm going to get. And then that's like you say, that's plays off of the chalk. It's taking people off them. So like even like look, I mean, instead of getting a $30, let's just call Jefferson. I think on a normal Jefferson would be like a $25 or a $30 bonus bet.
Sure.
It's possible with what you say, the thinking that people have now, you might get 50 or 55, and that's still,
here's
you're
the
winning
point
the bet and you're getting that also.
Right.
So it's
the backup running back for the Chargers listed on at least the touchdown odds would be Nyheim Hines at 14-1. So there's going to be people that are like, hang on, the backup where it's no more Hampton, it's no more Najee Harris, it's not Hassan Haskins. It's like, hang on, the backup running back who could just steal away one carry, not a surprise, would be Nyheim Hines, kind of a veteran who's been around for a while. Let me go to him. Let me go to Trey Harris. Let me go to Tyler Conklin. And then all of a sudden it's just Justin Jefferson. And again, like you said, it moves away from the number. I
got stoned on Monday Night Football. It took the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get a rushing touchdown. It's like a minus 140 price. I had one chance at it, but a nice move by Tez on like the 2-yard line to spin off and get in the end zone. But outside of that, didn't work. But Bet365 tonight, team 1 rushing yards, which would obviously be the Vikings. That's listed at 101 yards as a team. Rushing touchdowns to get one over a half is a minus 160 price. If we flip that to the Chargers to get one rushing touchdown, it's minus 165. And if nobody really bets all those that many times, these are really low. Like the good rushing teams, like 1.5 touchdowns, sometimes even popped up at 2.5. Like if it's the Baltimore Ravens at a nice plus money price. But any thoughts on either one of those teams? Because the last 2 games for Minnesota, they did have a rushing touchdown in 2 of the past, actually 3 of the past 4 games. But you look at the Chargers, I just can't bet. Like 3 straight games they haven't had a rushing touchdown. I just don't see when they get inside the file, like, let's get the ball to Vidal. There's too many weapons at wide receiver. So if I had to take any team to get a rushing touchdown tonight, it probably would be Minnesota, with maybe a chance for Wentz even to run one in.
I mean, I certainly don't hate that, especially with Jones being back. There's just a natural inclination for them to try and keep things simple in the red zone and right the ship after, a tough loss last week.
By the way, also another one here, they're listed on Bet365 for the team props. They're expecting sacks tonight with both of these offensive lines and a heavy blitzing teams. 6.5, which means you got to get 7 total sacks in this game to hit that number to minus 105, which is not really great for the over because if you're looking at a lot of sacks, that doesn't help, obviously, unless it's a strip sack fumble going the other way at that point. Any thoughts on 7 sacks combined tonight?
I couldn't tell you the last time I bet a defensive prop.
I think that's I know we're not really the defensive prop crowd, I would probably have to say here, but that seems a little bit tougher to go after when you have the Chargers getting both bookends back tonight. Like that's a little harder to go after in that aspect with Alt being back out there and the guy at the right side as well.
Team passing yards tonight combined between both 498.5 at a -120 price. You're basically looking at 500 yards total passing. Now, also, I always stress this. I like these markets because it's like, no, Wentz got hurt. Well, if the backup comes in and delivers, it doesn't matter at this point. The same thing, passing touchdowns for the game is 3.5 at a plus money price, which means you need 4. But how many times, it doesn't happen a lot, but like, you got to be kidding me, man. Halfback just threw a touchdown inside the 10-yard line, didn't go to Herbert. You still get credit for that because it doesn't matter who throws that. So that's another interesting one tonight. I didn't bet that. I usually look for like the 2.5 with juice on a game I think they can get over. But those are some of the team props tonight. So without further ado, Vikings, Chargers tonight. We'll go back around the horn, Tom. I'll start with you first. Side total and some props you'd like for the people out there.
Chargers in the over seems kind of square, but it's at 3. It's moved up to 3.5, so I'd go there. Jefferson for the TD jackpot. Kamani Vidal under 15.5 rush attempts. And Quentin Johnston over 21.5 for his longest reception. High A dot. The Vikings have gotten burned in basically every game for 20-plus yard receptions, and Johnston is back. Last week, his A dot was sitting at 9. It's a little bit lower than it was on the season, but I'll take last week's game script and just give me him for a big play.
Yeah. What do you got there, Mikey?
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on the side. I don't know who's going to win this game tonight. Obviously, you lean Chargers probably, but I'm not going to get involved with it. It's an over for me at 43.5. I'm going to go there. I like Justin Jefferson over 82.5 yards tonight. I think that he'll be there. The volume, both the quarterbacks and the rushing. Wentz 13.5, Herbert 18.5. Hawkinson, we're going to alt Hawkinson. We're going to ladder. I'm going to go after Tom over here. 4, 5, 6. We'll ladder Hawkinson with the receptions all the way up. And I played him for the jackpot. And I like this Gadsden as well. Altered him to 50, just a little bit over his number.
Okay.
I like myself a nice over tonight in this game. I think the team total for Minnesota makes some sense. They'll be in the 20s tonight. Just look at the way that defense is played. Now, they have some pieces back, but I just see myself saying, you know what? If I think both of these teams get into the 20s, gives you a great shot at hitting that 44.5 in that range, get 45-plus points and come away with it. Also, from the early line today, I did take Gadsden over 42.5 yards. There's so many cooks in the kitchen tonight, but sometimes I just like, you know what? The hot hand is there. The quarterback understands on a blitzing defense like Minnesota, your hot read's going to be there. It's usually the tight end over the middle. I'll take that as well, so have some fun tonight. But that'll do it for the boys. Ready to go on a Thursday night. Be back this weekend here on a nice little Sunday. Now, the card on Sunday, not that great to look at, but that doesn't mean you can't make some money with a lot of these prop bets and have some fun. So for Donnie Rightside, Tom Vecchio, Mike Carver, thanks for joining us. See you soon.